Hi everybody, this is Lara from Pure Elliott Wave with an update for Bitcoin, Ethereum and XRP. Before I get into it, please don't forget to like, subscribe and make a comment. All of your interaction helps my YouTube channel grow. As I said yesterday, for Bitcoin, I expected a little bit more downward movement and I expected it to find support about 27,400. So far, the low is 27,252.17 for the 3rd of October. I don't expect we're going to see much lower than that. If we do, and it's lower than I'm expecting, then look out for final support at this trend line. Draw it from the high of 13th of July across these highs here of the 8th and 9th of August, extended on out. Perfect resistance here, here and here. Breakthrough, now a back test of support. These back tests of support very commonly fall short of perfect support. And so 27,400 is an area of previous resistance and support, so that's what I'm expecting. When this is done, and it looks like today might be the last little small downward session, I'm going to expect upward movement for Wednesday, Thursday, Friday for Bitcoin, and if we can close above 29,000, then I expect we may find resistance 29,750. That's the target taken from the head and shoulders pattern added to the breakout point. Above that, I'll look for the next pullback or consolidation at 31,000. I looked inside yesterday's session on the hourly chart. So the 2nd of October on the hourly chart starts on this candlestick and ends on this candlestick. So there's some upward movement here and there's some downward movement here. The upward movement has an increase in volume overall, and then the downward movement has overall a decline in volume. So I am going to read the volume profile for the 2nd of October as overall bullish. So that supports the view that for the current session, it's unlikely we're going to get too much more downward movement if the volume profile remains bullish. So far, price is moving lower with a weakness in range and much lighter volume than the previous session. So far, I'm still going to read the volume profile for Bitcoin as bullish. ADX is extremely bullish. It tells us that Bitcoin is in a new upward trend in a very early stage. RSI is neutral, money flow is also neutral, so there is a long way to go before this new upward trend reaches danger of reversing. ATR now starting to show a little bit of an increase. That's very good to see and supports a bullish case for Bitcoin. I'd just like to draw your attention to our recent gold analysis. If you're trading gold and you're not using our analysis, you really are missing out, because these big downward moves we've seen in gold this week, our membership has absolutely been expecting that as a third wave within a third wave. This was our chart, or a simplified version of the chart our members received on the 25th of September. 26th of September, gold moved down exactly as we expected. 27th, another really big downward move, exactly as we were expecting. 28th, continued on down. 29th, another big downward move, exactly as we were expecting. This is the chart our members received just yesterday on the 2nd of October. We're still expecting a third wave at multiple degrees. So this kind of strong downward movement is exactly what our analysis has been predicting. So if you've lost money trading gold, or if you're trading blind and you're struggling, get our analysis. It'll pay for itself within a few days. For Ethereum, my daily Elliott Wave count sees a third wave at minor degree beginning down here. This is, for the bigger picture, a third wave at intermediate and primary and cycle degrees. So nested third waves at large degrees, primary and cycle. This is an extremely bullish wave count for Ethereum. Within the start of minor 3, I have minute 1 and 2 complete here, and minuet 1 and now minuet 2 to complete. For this wave count, I need to see subminuet C move below the end of subminuet A at 1638.79 to avoid a truncation, and then that would see minuet wave 2 a complete zigzag. So I'm expecting a little bit more downward movement for Ethereum today to make a new low below the 2nd of October, and then that will be, I expect, the end of the pullback. There's a good channel that contains this downward movement that I've labelled minor 2. A little bit of resistance here, resistance, pullback, breakthrough, moving up and away, and now a back test of support is very typical price behaviour around resistance and support. Ethereum technicals at the daily chart, I'm changing the support to 1650. That seems to be around about where yesterday and today price is finding support. Like Bitcoin, the 3rd of October now sees a decline in range and a decline in volume. This is good for a bullish case, despite the 2nd of October being quite a strong bearish candlestick. We've got this channel. It's been broken. The last swing high in the downward trend has been exceeded. And there was a bullish candlestick pattern up off the low of the 11th of September. I still have confidence for Ethereum that the 11th of September is likely to remain intact, and that the 2nd and now the 3rd of October is a really typical backtest of support. It looks like it may not be able to break much further below 1650. So I'm expecting the 3rd and maybe the 4th of October to continue with a little bit more downward movement, and then overall I'm expecting upward movement for Ethereum. If it can stay above resistance at 1716, I will be expecting a consolidation or pullback about 1800. Volume was pushing price lower yesterday, but today volume is really weak, along with weakness in range for Ethereum for downward movement. That's good for a bullish case. ADX still tells us that there's no clear trend for Ethereum. Stochastics reached just barely into overbought. It's now moving lower through neutral, so given the model of stochastics plus support and resistance, which I can use when there's no clear trend, at the moment that model would expect Ethereum to continue lower to not end until it finds support about 1550 and stochastics reaches oversold. Now that model is in conflict with the Elliott Wave count, so on balance of probability I'm going to go with the Elliott Wave count. It has such a good fit, and support from classic analysis in terms of this low having support up off this low. I expect that we're not actually going to get movement all the way down to 1550. I think it might stop pretty close here about 1650. For XRP, I see an end to a second wave correction at the low of 17th of August and the start of a new third wave, intermediate within primary within cycle degree. XRP's wave count is also very, very bullish. Within that, we may have minor one incomplete, but I might move the degree of labeling here up one. Either way, there's a first and second wave complete, a first and second wave complete, and another first and second. For the short term for XRP, I don't expect a new low below 0.4914, and I am expecting an increase in upward momentum with push from volume imminently. So if not today or tomorrow, by the end of this week, certainly by the beginning of next week. I had a go at developing a new alternate wave count for XRP, and I want to show you one reason why it's a good idea. Even if you can't get a decent alternate, it's still a good idea to have a go. I'm trying to see, instead of intermediate 2 over here, what if it's continuing? I can't see a good 5-wave structure over down here, and wave B just doesn't fit and doesn't make sense as a double combination. But you also can't see it as a double zigzag, because W, you would want to label W A, B, C, and C looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but that's invalid because the third wave is the shortest, breaching a core Elliott Wave rule. So this doesn't work either, and even if it did, and then you'd have to try and label X as a combination. Well, now X waves can be any corrective structure. There's an Elliott Wave rule for combinations that states the maximum number of corrective structures in a multiple is 3. So that means W, Y, and if there is one Z, can only themselves be labelled simple ABC corrections, or in the case of a triangle, A, B, C, D, E. You cannot label any one of W, Y, and Z as a multiple. So if you learn nothing else but this from me, if you see work online that has W, X, Y, X, Z within W or Y or Z, move on. Do not waste your time. It does not understand Elliott Wave rules. It is worse than useless. It is wasting your time and leading you astray. It's the most commonly completely misunderstood or ignored Elliott Wave rule that I see, and I use that as a really quick litmus test when I'm looking at other Elliott Wave work to know whether or not I should spend my time on it. But X waves are not counted in that total of 3, so technically they can be any corrective structure, including a multiple. But in practice, in reality, that's very, very rare, and I really don't like it. But anyway, the problem here is if you were to label X, or if it's a B wave, either way, if you were to label it as a double, you'd have to have a zigzag in here. X, well, that's problematic, and then Y. Well, the problem is Y would be a zigzag and it doesn't move beyond the end of W, and the purpose of a multiple zigzag is to deepen the correction when the first zigzag doesn't move price deep enough, and this not only has it not done that, it hasn't even reached where W ended. So it just looks wrong. It doesn't meet the purpose. It doesn't make sense, and it's just got such a low probability. So with that process done, I am unable at this stage to find a bearish alternate for XRP. What that means is we can have a little bit more confidence in the main wave count. So even if you can't find a good alternate, going through that process of trying is still valuable. Moving on to technicals for XRP, I've been saying to expect really strong resistance at 55 cents, absolutely what we've got. Got a little bit of a consolidation for the last few days. That's normal to be expected behavior. If price can break above resistance at 55 cents, which I expect it's likely to do sooner rather than later, I'll be looking for resistance at 62 cents. I think we might get the breakout maybe early next week. The volume profile for XRP is much more clearly bullish than the other two. ADX is now declining, but it won't take much to turn ADX back up and indicate an upward trend.